Tomorrow was a day I was dreading. I had been feeling this way for many weeks. I couldn't argue with Mary. It meant a lot to her. So, on a winter evening in 1929, I spoke with my good friend, Sherlock Holmes. Another case successfully solved, Holmes.
Quite so, Watson, though I must confess I'm unsure to what I will do next, my friend. The case kept us both busy, and I understand that you have plans tomorrow.
Ever the detective, Sherlock.
What's bothering you, my friend?
Well, Holmes, seeing as you're asking, I was wondering if you could come with Mary and I to her father's retirement gathering.
Oh, I see.
You seem shocked.
I must say I wasn't expecting the father element of this story.
Right, then what were you expecting?
I can't say I truly know. The human mind is a fascinating yet unpredictable thing. But please, Watson, take a seat in your chair. I will bring us whiskey and some cigars. Please feel free to talk to me about your woes.
But that doesn't answer my question. Will you be going with us?
Once I've heard the story, I will decide.
Holmes, I'm not a client. Maybe I am.
Here you are, Watson.
Oh, thank you, Sherlock. It's unlike you to collect the drinks for us. Is Miss Hudson unwell?
Not at all. I thought it best that I should prepare the drinks and the cigars for today. Cheers, Watson.
Cheers.
Ah, lovely. Now, Watson, your father-in-law's causing you bother.
Oh, not bother, Holmes. He hates me.
Why?
Because of my background.
Irish? I see.
Quite. He doesn't approve of mine and Mary's marriage. And in fact, I'm actually placed down as a +1 on Mary's invite rather than being invited as a member of the family.
What does Mary's mother have to say about this?
Sherlock, I've told you before, she passed away during the Great War, I'm afraid.
Ah, I sense that Mary's father holds many grudges against you unreasonably.
Correct again, Sherlock. Ignoring the racist slurs he mutters about me in my presence, he also blames me for his wife's murder, as if I were the murderer.
Irrational thinking.
Yes, but that doesn't matter to Arthur. Arthur Morstan is his full name, Holmes.
I was able to put that together having been present at your wedding, John. What does Mary say about all of this?
She disapproves of her father's beliefs. She knows who I am, and refuses to fall into her father's manipulative traps.
Good to hear.
Nonetheless, I have spoken with her recently about the prospect of you joining us. She understands my worry, and she has agreed for you to accompany us.
Very well. So, why do you want me there, Watson? If you are worried for your safety, I am not a physical man. I would not be able to provide that sort of security.
You are my best friend, Sherlock. It would bring me great comfort to have you there. You are a man with integrity.
Well, thank you, Watson.
It's fine, my friend. So, will you be joining us?
I shall, Watson. You and Mary are important to me, and I do not want that damaged by any in-laws.
Thank you, Sherlock. That means so much. We sat for another hour talking about family life. We spoke about Minecraft for a short while. Sherlock had only seen him once or twice in the last couple of years for family events. They did not quite get along, but Sherlock has mentioned that his parents were getting older, so he was trying to spend more time with them before they passed away. I understood that feeling, whilst I could never experience that with my own. I went home to Mary that night. She was so beautiful. Having opened up to Sherlock about all of this made me feel a sense of freedom, and all those worries I had slipped away and fell to sleep with Mary in my arms.
You look very well dressed, Sherlock.
Thank you, Mary. You do too. I'm sure this will be a lovely event. I hear this is a retirement celebration?
Yes. My father built his own company from scratch, working in a variety of mills, such as salt mills, coal mills, and much more, but now he's leaving his company to his closest friends.
He sounds like a very successful man.
He is. He loves his work. I believe he won't stop working even after retirement.
His work ethic is very commendable.
It is indeed.
We're here.
Chammersmith Manor?
My mother's maiden name. The entire land was named after her.
I see. A lovely sentiment.
Father!
Mary, my sweet.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Oh, let's not talk about that now. A man's work is never truly done.
Very true words, Mr. Morstan. It's good to see you.
Yes, quite. Who is this man?
That is Sherlock Holmes, John's best friend.
A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Morstan. I'm fascinated in your work.
You are. The papers say you are a master detective. Why would you be here?
Father!
He is my +1, Arthur.
You forget your place, boy. You will address me as Mr. Morstan in the presence of betters. Additionally, you are my daughter's +1. You do not hold a formal invite.
It is remarkable how you talk in front of your daughter, Mr. Morstan.
Sherlock.
What do you mean?
This man is your daughter's husband, is he not? In fact, he is your son-in-law, yet you feel the need to put him down in front of her. I understand that, with family, there is a level of respect to be brought from the elder. But I am not part of the family. Watson is my friend, and you will give him the respect that you would expect back.
You dare lecture me about how I treat this filthy Irishman?
That's enough.
Not here, Father.
I found you to be a fascinating man with a great background in your business ventures, but you spoil your legacy with the speech of a simpleton.
You call me simple?
I did not say that. You spoil your legacy with it, but there is more to you.
Let's not spoil this day, Father. Today is about you. Let's go inside and meet the other guests.
Very well, Mary.
Holmes, what was that?
I was defending you, Watson.
I think you alienated us both now.
I was not having that language used at you, Watson. I apologise for causing a scene, but I will not allow degrading language to be used, especially to a man as yourself who has sacrificed so much.
I appreciated Sherlock's defence. It reminded me that through the inhuman facade, there was a human being within. We spent the remainder of the day standing on the sidelines as Mary and her father spent time with his friends. It was for the best. I was glad to have Sherlock there, otherwise I would have stood there alone all day.
Thank you all for your support, especially in this time of transition.
Of course, Mr. Morstan. You have taught us for a lot over the years, and it is an honour to be in the same position as you.
Yes, we would naturally not want to push you out. You can come and assist us whenever you like.
Indeed.
To assist? My, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. Sorry.
Not at all, Dennis. Now, I shall leave you to talk amongst yourselves. My head chef should be finished with the preparations for the first course.
I hope so.
We understand, Mr. Morstan.
Oh, and it's enough of that. It's Arthur to you. See you shortly. What are you two doing?
Merely taking in the atmosphere.
You both make the place look dirty.
Mr. Morstan, we are just staying back so you can enjoy yourself.
By standing in a corner watching? Idiot. You're more noticeable.
Mind your tone.
Do you want to make a scene here, Mr. Holmes? I know you are the great detective, as I read in the newspaper, but I doubt you are a good fighter.
My weapon is my mind, Mr. Morstan.
Father, shall we go and get you a drink?
Won't you have one?
I'm afraid I don't feel up to it today. I've had some dizzy spells. Please, Father.
Very well.
Are you both trying to start a fight with my father?
Not all, dear. We're trying to stay out of the way.
Mary, please do not be blind to the fact that your father has and is continually singling out your husband from the family environment. John Watson is your husband, and one day in the future your children's father.
I understand that, Mr. Holmes, but my father has had his troubles too.
I doubt as much as Watson.
Holmes, leave it. Right. We'll do our utmost to be proper at this gathering.
Good.
Holmes, please stop.
This is barbaric, Watson. I refuse to allow this behaviour.
Sherlock, I invite you along to be supportive, not to cause more arguments.
Very well, Watson. I will respect your wishes.
Sorry to interrupt. Hello. You must be Dr. Watson, I presume?
Hello, yes it is. And you are?
Dennis Richards, a member of Board of Directors.
Lovely to make your acquaintance, sir. Oh, and this is my friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
How do you do, Mr. Holmes?
The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Richards. Are you looking forward to moving into this new role at Morstan Coal Mines?
Yeah, very much so. It's something I've been very proud to be a part of.
Excellent to hear.
I mean, just between you two, and I hope you're not judgmental when I say this, but I don't intentionally come from a rich and proud family, if you like.
Do not fret, Mr. Richards. We do not judge anyone.
I'm very grateful to hear that, Mr. Holmes. You see, I'm from a poor family, so to be around like venues like this, it's a big deal, because I didn't have that much, you know, back when I was growing up. So yeah, big deal to be here.
That's nothing to be ashamed of, Mr. Richards. I fled my home prior to the Great War. It takes great courage and honour to push forward.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Now, please excuse me, I shall step outside for a quick smoke. Would either of you like to join me?
I'm afraid I don't smoke a desire.
I would like to, Mr. Richards. However, as my friend's +1, I fear I must stay with him.
Quite right. Between you and I don't exactly agree to Arthur's life beliefs. You seem a very intelligent and fine gentleman to me.
Thank you kindly.
See you shortly.
A fine gentleman, he says.
He is correct, Watson.
An 1884 Lonsdale. Beautiful smoke. Oh, my. The wind's taking a turn. Ooh. What the devil is that?
Brandy, Watson?
Thank you, Holmes. Although I did not ask for one.
You did not need to. You forget that I observe more than the usual man.
What gave it away?
Your lips were dry, your eyes were giving that frantic look as to anyone else's does when they need to quench a good thirst.
Frantic look? I'm not feeling frantic, Holmes.
Nonetheless, you felt thirsty.
Yes.
And the look in your eyes were an involuntary one, my friend. And I remember those look on the pupils of my colleagues in the war rooms, only hearing updates for the good fight through phone calls. And there we all were, waiting.
Waiting?
For the news. A victory or a loss. Many of my colleagues would have their throats go dry with anticipation. As did I admit.
Holmes, did you hear that?
I did.
Well, that was Dennis. Well, come on.
We should follow. Come along, Watson.
Dennis! Dennis!
It's so foggy I can't see him anywhere.
He must be somewhere. We heard him. We don't need any help.
I am a doctor, sir. Where is Mr. Richards?
We can't see him.
This way.
Come along, gentlemen.
Wait. How can you know? We'd best keep up.
Agreed.
There he is.
Holmes, let me.
Is he alive?
Oh, no.
Dennis!
I'm sorry. He's dead.
How? What's killed him?
Allow me a second to answer that.
Bring him inside. We can't be here. Whoever did this could still be out here.
Unless they're already with us.
Don't be ridiculous.
Then explain how exactly you found his body.
We're on the cobbles, made up of brick and shells. The shells on the brick were disturbed, allowing for a trail to be followed.
Who spots something like that?
Sherlock Holmes.
I'm sure he would, but he isn't here. Oh, for God's sake.
Indeed. Now, Watson, do we have a cause of death?
Puncture wound, it seems. Through the chest.
Any direction of which the wound entered his chest?
It would appear that the wound has entered through his back and punctured through his front.
But there's blood pooling beneath him.
The force of gravity, sir. You can see from his shirt that the front has been punctured from the inside. The blood splatter on his chest indicates the blood exited from within. If he had been stabbed from his front, the blood would have exited via his back.
Excellent deduction, Watson. So now we know he was chased. Now looking at the cobbles again...
There's no point. Us running over has disturbed it all.
There is another track leading back to the house.
There is?
Look, there is one leaving the body and heading back towards the house using the double-glazed doors.
So, the murderer is inside the house?
What is going on here?
Dennis has been murdered, Arthur.
What? What on earth are you doing with him?
I'm just examining him.
You will step away from him instant.
John Watson is a doctor, Arthur.
And you can shut up.
Stop it!
Shut it, boy. Oath. Don't you lay your hands on me.
I will not have you approach me in such a threatening manner, Mr. Morstan. Someone has been murdered. In fact, it is one of your successors, as you can see.
Likely you were both the culprits.
Arthur, this is Sherlock Holmes, the great detective.
Exactly, boy. Step away from Dennis's body. I'll have you hung up for this.
Enough! Watson, are your examinations complete?
Initial examination complete, yes.
Can any more examinations be undertaken indoors?
Yes, Holmes.
Then please assist my friend in bringing the body inside.
Shut it, boy.
Not any longer, Mr. Morstan. We have identified that the man or woman who killed Dennis Richards has re-entered the house and joined your party. This house is now under lockdown, and I shall be calling the finest that Scotland Yard has to offer.
Reluctantly, Arthur Morstan and his colleagues helped me carry the body inside and to the freezer to preserve the body. Arthur continued to make jabs and quips at me throughout this, but now it was not the time for personal problems. It was time to work. Within the hour, Inspector Lestrade and his squad arrived at the door. Holmes let them in and I joined them for the briefing. Arthur stood nearby, listening to anyone to shove his way into the conversation.
Trust you two to be at a family gathering and one of the guests gets offed?
Quite, Inspector, but judging from Watson's medical examinations and my observations of the scene, the murderer chased the victim through the grounds, stabbed him in the back and retreated back into the house via the doors to the courtyard.
I see. So what exactly did you call me?
The murderer is still within the house, Lestrade.
Yes, indeed. You need the security.
And your expertise, too.
Expertise? I'm flattered, Mr. Holmes.
You have a lot of experience in the field, Lestrade. Your insight would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, very well.
Watson, shall we have a look at the body?
I do not appreciate it being left in a freezer with the food.
Anyway, Watson?
Of course. Follow me.
These two men are disturbing my big night.
A man has died, Mr. Morstan. Show some respect.
Very crisp and chilled.
Perfect for preserving a body.
Have you found anything new?
The skin is very tight around his face, Holmes.
Stress.
Precisely. That's to be expected when being chased. His whole body tenses up at the moment of death, as anyone would. But the cold outside helped to preserve his final state.
What's this?
His wrist? I didn't see anything.
No, his shirt. Both wrists, in fact. The cufflinks have been removed.
Could have been torn off when he collapsed.
No, even during fog, those cufflinks have been reflected in the light of the house.
What cufflinks were they?
A blue jewel. All of the new directors were wearing them, including Arthur Morstan.
I didn't see anything else missing from the body. Say a few buttons on his blazer.
They were left in the cobbles, Watson. Nothing of value. Black buttons carved from cow and buffalo. The only item of value were those cufflinks.
So are you saying this is a burglary gone wrong?
Perhaps, but that would mean that Jackson Blake, Allan Williams and Michael Brown are in danger.
Including Arthur Morstan?
Someone is looking to take down Morstan coal mines.
Drink up, old chap.
Can't believe he's dead.
Stop shaking, Michael. You're making a scene.
Are you both feeling all right?
Not quite, Mrs. Watson. Dennis, Mr. Richards. He was a close friend.
Of course.
I need some air.
The police have said we must stay inside.
Mr. Holmes also said that the murderer was inside the house. I just need a few minutes of air, that's all.
I'll go with him.
Ridiculous.
What's wrong, Father?
The police and your husband have completely taken over the house. My gathering is ruined.
Someone has been murdered, Father.
Yes, well, quite. Dennis was a good friend. I should remember that.
We're all struggling, Arthur. There's no shame to be had in your reaction.
Thank you, Michael. You seem a little worse for wear. Do you need another drink?
No. I was about to take Michael outside for some air.
Right. Some fresh air does the world of good.
We'll be back soon.
Father, I'm sorry that this gathering hasn't gone to plan.
Your husband will have a lot to answer for.
He's only doing his job.
They all say that.
What do you mean?
Soldiers.
Father, that isn't fair. You can't keep blaming him for what happened. John wasn't there.
But he had a hand in it.
No, he didn't. I've tried to support you since Mother died, but I have a husband whom I love. You need to accept that.
Mary, wait. Please.
So he was murdered to steal some cufflinks? Are you being serious?
It is currently our only lead, but we now have to find the knife and the culprit.
That's easier said than done. There are over 100 people here tonight.
Then it will be a long night, Inspector. Come along.
Who's driving in?
There shouldn't be anyone. We have officers at the front gates.
Oh my god.
What is it?
It's not a car. It's a ghost.
I'm worried, Jackson.
What do you have to be worried about?
I don't know. I just wonder if this all... What the devil is that?
It's a woman. She's glowing.
She's a ghost.
Holmes.
I know, Watson, I know.
That is a ghost, Mr. Holmes.
Indeed it is.
Holmes, it's gone around that corner.
But what for?
Are we saying this is a haunting?
Patience, Lestrade.
Michael, no!
Lestrade!
On it. Stand where I can see you.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Stay still.
It's Michael. He's been attacked.
Watson, the body.
Yes, Holmes.
Stay still.
Please. Please.
Mr. Blake, what happened here?
The ghost. It was her.
Who? Who is the ghost?
I don't know. Well, she's dead, isn't she? I don't know her. Please, please, don't shoot me.
Why were you out here?
He just needed air.
Put the gun down, Lestrade. The same cause of death?
Yes, Holmes. Stab wound through the back, but it does not penetrate through his front. This was a quick move.
Whereas with the first victim it was drawn out because of the chase.
Quite so. The stab wound to Dennis Richards was harsh and forceful. This one was quick and calculated.
And notice the cufflinks?
Still here. Not taken like the first victim.
I wonder. Lestrade, search Mr. Blake.
What?
We must rule out all possibilities.
Very good, Mr. Holmes.
Someone is killing the new board of directors, Holmes.
And we need to get the remaining directors in a room to talk to them.
The body was brought into the house and laid in the freezer alongside Dennis Richards. 2 out of the 4 directors were now dead. Jackson Blake was searched and no cufflinks were found on him. Blake had claimed that he saw the body fall. There are no such things as ghosts. Holmes and I were certain of this, but this didn't mean everyone else thought the same.
Thank you for joining us.
Jackson says Michael is dead.
I'm afraid he is.
How?
The same way Mr. Richards was killed, stab wound to the back.
Someone is picking off all of us?
We are not certain about yourself, Mr. Morstan.
What do you mean?
The pattern is small, but it looks as though no threats have been made against yourself, only your successors.
But why?
To destroy your legacy, perhaps?
So you're the prime suspect, then?
What?
Arthur, this isn't helping.
Holmes and I are here to help solve this.
The hell you are. Your kind are all the same.
Finished?
Never.
Well, you are. Now, Mr. Morstan, the ghost we saw, a woman in a white gown, long black hair, pale skin. Does that description mean anything to you?
Did she have a mole just above her lip?
Mr. Blake, you saw her face.
I believe so, yes. It happened so fast, but that is something that stood out to me.
Do you know her, Mr. Morstan?
I did. She was a maid. She was a maid when I was a boy. She was murdered by some crazed lunatic who had broken in one night.
Who was she?
I never knew her name, but oh God, I hated her.
Why?
She was ugly, inside and out. I was very unkind to her.
You hurt her feelings?
Well, many occasions.
And now she is here for the new directors, so she can ruin you.
Must be. But it can't be her. I refuse to believe it.
Very well, thank you all for your time. I wish to speak to my friend and the inspector about this.
I see. I shall be in the hall with the guests.
I shall join him.
Likewise.
So, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I know who did it, Lestrade.
Dunno.
Give me time. We must create another lure.
Risk another man's life, Holmes.
It is the only way. Any of us, then it will not work. It must be Jackson or Allan.
Not Arthur Morstan?
No. The person behind this wants to destroy him, not kill him. The consequences of these murders are important to him.
Him? So you know it's a male?
Of course, Inspector. You give me little credit. I suggest we use Jackson Blake, and then just before any impact, we pounce.
Good idea.
Speak to Mr. Blake in private. Prepare him. I will think on this.
Think about what?
The game, Watson. The reasoning, the story, the motive. Now, both of you, go.
Very well.
You can come out now, Mary.
I forgot how perceptive you are, Mr. Holmes.
Why were you listening?
I'm looking out for my family.
Which one?
Excuse me?
You know what I'm talking about. Your husband or your father?
My father seemed fine with John just now.
Open your eyes, Mary. Arthur is in shock. He hates your choice of a husband. If you remember a couple of years ago, Watson, myself and you solved a similar case.
Harry Angel is to what you refer?
It is.
My father wouldn't do those things.
But he is a man with hatred in his blood. Racism, in fact.
That isn't racism.
So it's not racist if the man who receives it is white.
You won't persuade me that my father is an evil man, Sherlock. He has been through enough.
As has Watson.
I don't know what to do.
You have to choose a side, Mary.
There shouldn't be sides.
I agree, but it is not John who has made it that way.
I can't.
I pray for your sake that I'm wrong and acting emotionally and suspecting your father. I want you to be happy.
You mentioned earlier about John being my children's father. How did you know?
Your emotions are inconsistent, Mary. You're also having dizzy spells which require you to sit down, like you just have.
I could have been feeling ill.
No, your body has already undergone minor changes that will become more present as the pregnancy continues. When did you find out?
Not long ago.
Twins, I believe.
Sherlock, you do amaze me.
Please, stay here and gather your strength. Soon, this murderer will be apprehended and we can return to normality.
Lestrade and I were able to convince Jackson Blake to step outside again. A lot of guests were nervous to see him do it. But we made sure he did it alone, so that we were not compromised. Sherlock stayed a little distance away, and he waited.
Mr. Blake is doing a good job at fooling me.
I don't think it's necessarily acting, Inspector. I think he may be literally worried about dying.
Someone has to take the bait at some point.
There she is. The ghost.
Do not allow her to distract you. Focus on Jackson.
Very good.
Oh my god. Please. Someone. Help.
The ghost is gone!
Nothing happened. Why did nothing happen?
I have found a ghost, gentlemen.
It's a large projector.
Must have taken a huge amount of intelligence.
But how did it create the ghost effect?
The fog, Inspector. The image projected onto the fog creates a light wall.
Yes, we see this a lot down the coal mines when gravel and dirt fall.
Fog?
No, the dust and dirt particles in the air act like this fog.
So it has to be someone associated with coal mines.
Then it can't be Jackson Blake here, can it?
Nobody killed him. Nobody showed up.
What?
Mr. Blake was sat with Michael Brown when he died?
He was, but the cufflinks were not stolen that time.
Is this who you suspected then, Holmes? Jackson Blake?
Please, no. I am not a murderer. These were my friends.
I believe you, Mr. Blake. However, a jury will not.
I'll cuff him.
Very well, Inspector.
No, please.
Jackson Blake was cuffed on the spot, much to his protest. He is brought inside with us, and we met at the freezer once more.
Jackson? No, it couldn't have been you.
I did not do this, Arthur.
It's Mr. Morstan to you.
Enough. This case is still not solved.
It isn't?
Michael Brown's cufflinks, they are missing.
Weren't they taken already?
No, they were taken from Dennis Richards. Mr. Brown's were never touched.
You must have made a mistake then.
Where is Allan Williams?
He was in the party.
Please bring him here. He may be collecting his coat in the cloakroom.
What makes you say that?
A hunch.
Very well. I'll leave Jackson Blake in the custody of the officers.
You think Allan Williams is trying to make a getaway, Holmes?
Perhaps.
I regret the day my daughter met you, boy.
Excuse me?
Don't pretend you didn't hear.
Arthur, in case you haven't
You
realised...
will not address me that way.
I will address you any bloody way I want, Arthur!
You despicable creature.
Shut up! Whether you like it or not, I am your son-in-law, and I am your daughter's husband, and one day I will be the father of your grandchildren.
Those children will be dirty too.
You may want to look behind you, Mr. Morstan.
What for?
How could you?
Mary.
So my children would be dirty too?
You saw what happened in the war?
Those were German bombers, Father. John was fighting with us, not against us.
He's Irish.
And? I stand with my husband, Mr. Morstan. If that makes you hate me too, then so be it.
I will not allow this.
It's not your decision.
He's right. I love him, Father. I love the children we bear, and you will have nothing to do with us.
This is disgraceful. What now?
Allan Williams is dead in the cupboard.
As I suspected.
What? As you suspected?
Look at Arthur's wrist, Watson.
The cufflinks.
One set missing from his left hand.
But he's right-handed.
Yes, The right hand deals the killing blow, whilst the victim reaches out for the other within reach.
My father is the killer.
Search him, Inspector.
With pleasure.
Get your hands off me. This is my house.
4 sets of cufflinks.
2 sets per person. I'd guarantee that Allan Williams has 1 set on his person,
Making it Arthur Morstan's set.
which places him at the crime scene. Jackson Blake was with all of us at the time.
How dare you?
Father, how could you do this?
There is no evidence. Nothing ties me to this.
On the contrary, there is.
Then please explain away, Mr. Holmes.
Firstly, the ghost, the image you chose, an old recording of the maid from 1891, hence why it gives us such a glow to suggest it were a ghost. But you were the only one who knew about the maid and her fate. No one else would know to concoct such an elaborate plan.
And the cufflinks?
The cufflinks were a sign of power within the company, Watson. By stripping each body of these cufflinks, I imagine it gave Arthur Morstan some of the power back.
But why kill these people?
You told me a few times that your father would never stop working, Mary. Your father is a cold and calculated man, which Watson observed from the murder of Michael Brown. And he did not want to lose what he had built.
Then why kill in such a specific order? Jackson Blake was primed for the taking.
Well, Watson and I had a brief conversation with Dennis Richards before his death. He had admitted that he had come from a lower class family.
Why?
And thanks to Arthur's inability to hold back his anger, as we've seen with Watson this evening, he has proven that he has a dislike for those he sees as inferior. Notice how he has worked his way up to Jackson Blake, who is the highest class of them all.
Well, Mr. Holmes, as conclusive as ever.
Mary, let's step away. You don't need to see this.
Boy, you dare take my daughter away. Oath!
Do not think you can hit me. Come along, Mary.
Get up, Mr. Morstan.
Ah!
I'm arresting you for the murders of Dennis Richards, Michael Brown, and Allan Williams. Please come with me.
You are an intelligent man, Mr. Morstan. It is a shame that you decided to take the lives of others.
I spit on you, Mr. Holmes.
Cut it out. Get out of here.
Then you are showing your true colours.
Mary and I left the house promptly that night, and we returned to our house. Holmes told us to go on. He would make his own arrangements with Lestrade. Mary and I got home just before 4 in the morning. The winter was crisp, just before the start of a new decade, and this happened. The next morning, I knew I had to ask Mary a very important question. Mary, my dear, are you alright?
Not quite.
I understand, and I want you to know that I love you, and I'll always stand by you.
And I too, you, my love.
Although I must ask, when you were speaking last night, you spoke of children we bear, yet I noticed that we bear no children.
Not yet.
Oh, Mary, are we... Are we...
We are, John.
I can't. I'm so happy. I'm going to be a father.
And I a mother.
This little one will have the best life possible.
Little ones.
Ones?
We're having twins.
Oh my word.
Such a shame. Such a waste.
I agree.
Did you know Arthur Morstan?
In a way. We were business partners.
I see.
What will happen to his estate?
I believe it is being sold on, and the funds are being sent to his family.
No, that is a shame. Such a big loss on my part.
I hardly think that's a loss.
Let me tell you what happens when you don't leave me alone, Sherlock.
Not to sound like a bad record, but I don't think you know me enough to be calling me by my first name.
Oh, trust me. I know a lot about you. We were in the war rooms together. How fast a decade flies by.
Well, I do not remember you. And you can rest assured, I will be happy to leave you alone as long as you do the same for the people I care
No,
about.
I didn't care for Arthur Morstan. If that's what you think. He was a business investment. One of many that you have ruined for me.
Please, enlighten me.
Irene Adler.
Excuse me?
I was so close to having those secrets from her. But then, you had to become involved with her.
Understand this. There was nothing of the sort.
If you say so. What about Dr. Roylott?
He murdered his stepdaughter.
Are you saying that you never killed anyone?
Excuse me?
We all thought it was a game in the war rooms, but you've seen the light. Dr. John Watson, a friend in arms in your little crime-solving game. He was a soldier too. Someone to take orders. He is not the same as us.
I have already dealt with Arthur Morstan today for how he treated Dr. Watson. I do not wish to do it again.
And now you make threats.
No.
You'd better watch yourself.
Why? Because you'll kill me?
No. There's no thrill in the chase that ends in death, Sherlock. You know that. The thrill is catching them. And you are the king on the chessboard with queens, bishops, knights and pawns.
Whereas you are the lone king, I imagine.
Quite right. The difference is that I will win.
For a man who knows me so well, may I please get a name from you?
Moriarty. James Moriarty.
Moriarty. Interesting name. So, what do we do now?
War is coming, Sherlock. When it does, I will be the one on top.
What do you mean?
You may want to get reacquainted with your brother, Michael.
War. War is coming.